Orly and Devere are like most couples. They met, fell in love, and began their life together. But it wasn't long before their parents began wondering about grandkids.
I think that the entire pregnancy, you can see it as a normal Jewish pregnancy. It starts by the parents, telling you are not getting younger and you need to start and think about the next generation.
They had no idea they were expecting until 10 weeks into the pregnancy.
So we went to the doctor. I told him I would like to have twins, and he told me that there is no reason that you will have twins.
I was almost 2 months pregnant. The first checkup, we saw it, there are twins, and we're ecstatic.
What was a normal pregnancy quickly entered frightening territory when Orly started labor during a routine exam, nearly 15 weeks early.
At a certain point, all hell broke loose. Doctor was running and shouting, and nobody's speaking to me at this point. So in my thoughts, something was wrong with me. He called 3 different teams, one for me and one for each baby.
After 26 weeks, there are much more risk in delivering a baby than a normal mature pregnancy. And I saw all the dangerous things and already started to calculate all the bad things that could happen along the way.
It was a C-section. They explained that when the babies are so small, they wouldn't survive regular birth. It was so confusing. Everything was so hectic.
And at that point, I knew, due to the early stage of the pregnancy, that my boys are not healthy as well.
And when they rushed me inside, Dvir actually said goodbye to me because we thought something is happening to me. The first thing that was important to me was that I want to hear them cry because in 26 weeks, the lungs usually don't develop enough. This is the last body part that develops. And then I heard them both cry when they took them out. And my only thought was, okay, everything is gonna be fine.
They told me, come with us. And then we went through a hallway. It took us 20 seconds. I know that those are the longest 20 seconds of my life. I'm standing outside of those 2 doors that suddenly are being opened. And there is 4 doctors and 2 nurses on one very small incubator that have inside the 2 babies, each of them being ventilized for breathing.
Guy who was the bigger one in 40 grams was ventilated, needed help in his respiratory for a few days, but then he was strong, he recovered, and after that was actually quite good. His brother, who was smaller in 40 grams, was ventilated for several weeks.
The doctor started to tell us little by little that the situation is not promising. They already had the chance to do some scans, and Guy was evaluated in a better status. He didn't have a lot of the drivebacks that we had with Yuval. Yuval had a very complicated bleeding in his brain and additional heart issue, and he was not able to breathe by himself, so he was a complicated patient.
It's never easy to tell a parent that the baby will suffer, or there is a surgery to go through, or he might not survive.
That explained to us that they are both in a very critical phase, especially Yuval. His chances for survival were very, very small. About 10 weeks in the hospital, and we're going back and forth all the time. We come to the hospital at 7 a.m., we leave the hospital at 11 p.m. Every morning we wake up in terror. Okay, what's this day is gonna bring? Because at the first few days, we weren't sure if we're gonna find one of them alive or not.
Just imagine a surgery in a less than 2-kilo baby, small preterm. Everything is extremely tiny. And to go through that surgery, which usually has complication, and on top of it, a surgery, and a perforation in the gut, and the bleeding in his brain. All this gives us chances of less than 20% that he will be a normal baby.
I couldn't even start to understand the procedure that he's going to have and how risky it is. I just couldn't handle it, and I was freaking out. And after a day, they took him to this heart surgery.
I cried, and I cried a lot. From the moment that we said goodbye to Yuval, when he entered to the surgery.
At this point, I was crying so much. I was so anxious that he will not survive it. It was unbearable, and this was the first time that I lost my belief that everything will be fine.